Hello, I am Red Blood Cell Champ. The human body circulates approximately 2.5 times 10 to the power of 13 red blood cells. And each cell, like me, lives on average approximately 1.2 times 10 to the power of 2 days. And my shift begins now. On my back is a biological backpack with 4 primary tools: hemoglobin HB2, carry O2; carbonic anhydrase that catalyzes the reaction CO2 plus H2O, forming HCO3-, the band 3 channel that exchanges Cl- and HCO3-, and the glycolysis system that generates adenosine triphosphate, ATP, to sustain my energy even without a nucleus and without mitochondria. My daily mission is clear: pick up O2 in the lungs, deliver it to cells, collect CO2, then return to the lungs, and the whole cycle takes only a few seconds. I travel on a closed circulatory highway, from lungs to left heart to arteries to tissue capillaries to veins to right heart to lungs, operating like a precise biological hydraulic system. The journey starts at the alveolus, where air meets blood, and the diffusion distance is approximately 0.5 to 1 micrometer, which is short enough for O2 to cross the alveolar capillary membrane almost instantly. At the gas exchange membrane, the partial pressure of O2 is high in the alveolus, PO2, pushing O2 into blood, while the partial pressure of CO2 is high in blood, PCO2, pushing CO2 out. A two-way diffusion mechanism described by Fick's law. Each red blood cell contains approximately 2.7 times 10 to the power of 8 hemoglobin molecules, and each hemoglobin binds 4 O2 molecules, which means approximately 1 times 10 to the power of 9 O2 molecules per trip when fully saturated. When I enter tissues, pH drops and CO2 rises. The Bohr effect activates. Hemoglobin decreases affinity for O2 and releases it exactly where needed. On the physiologic HUD, SpO2 is 98 to 99%, which is optimal for a healthy person at sea level. Oxygen-rich blood returns through the pulmonary veins to the left heart, and although the name is vain, this stream carries the freshest O2. The left atrium receives me smoothly. The mitral valve opens on schedule, and flow is guided to minimize turbulence. The left ventricle is the main engine of the systemic circulation, and each beat ejects approximately 70 milliliters of blood and propels me into the aorta at high velocity. Across the aortic valve, leaflets open and close with precision to maintain one-way flow with minimal energy loss. Along the aortic arch, elastic arteries buffer the pressure pulse, stabilizing systolic and diastolic swing by arterial elasticity principles. The arterial network then branches geometrically, expanding cross-sectional area to reduce hydrodynamic resistance according to Porzui's law. At the arteriole, smooth muscle in the wall adjusts lumen diameter and acts as the chief resistance valve that sets tissue perfusion pressure. Entering a muscle capillary, I must deform elastically to pass a lumen only 5 to 6 micrometers wide, while my diameter is about 7 to 8 micrometers, a test of membrane resilience. The diffusion path from capillary wall to mitochondria is only a few micrometers, so the delivery time of O2 falls in proportion to path length and contact area. In a microenvironment with lower pH and higher CO2, hemoglobin shifts from R state to T state and releases O2, a textbook example of physiologic oxygen offloading. O2 reaches the mitochondrion and feeds the respiratory chain to form adenosine triphosphate, ATP, the energy currency powering myofibril contraction and cellular work. I then pick up carbon dioxide, the metabolic byproduct, for transport back to the lungs, thanks to carbonic anhydrase. The reaction CO2 plus H2O 2HCO3- and H+ proceeds about 1 million times faster than uncatalyzed, illustrating the speed of enzymatic catalysis. The band 3 channel performs the chloride shift, exchanging HCO3- out and Cl- in to maintain electroneutrality during transit. Protons, H+, are temporarily buffered by hemoglobin, a finely tuned mechanism preserving blood pH while CO2 is carried. Leaving tissue into small veins, the pressure pulse is lower and flow becomes steadier. Multiple small veins merge progressively, lowering total resistance and improving return efficiency to the heart. At the right atrium, the tricuspid valve opens, allowing blood to enter the right heart without backflow. The right ventricle pumps at low pressure into the pulmonary artery and restarts the pulmonary loop. In the pulmonary artery, I travel at a speed tuned for the next gas exchange round in the alveoli.
Glycation.
At the lungs again, CO2 is eliminated and O2 is reloaded, completing the coupled processes of convection and diffusion. However, carbon monoxide from smoke or polluted air has affinity for hemoglobin. APPROXIMATELY 2 times 10 to the power of 2 times higher than O2, displacing oxygen from binding sites. When co-occupies hemoglobin, binding sites are locked and O2 cannot enter effectively, even if a person breathes deeply. The monitor shows SpO2 dropping to 92 to 94%, and even a decline of a few percent markedly lowers tissue exchange efficiency. With elevated blood glucose, glycation modifies hemoglobin and membranes, forming HbA1c, an index reflecting average glycemia over about 90 days, matching my lifespan. As HbA1c rises, oxygen transport efficiency falls, and red cells become stickier and less flexible, predisposing to capillary plugging. When deformability decreases, I more easily get stuck in microchannels, creating local tissue hypoxia with every second of delay. In the microcirculation, flow Q falls when resistance R rises. Consistent with the equation Q equals delta P divided by R, and heat maps turn red at choke points. Reduced oxygen delivery lowers ATP in muscle, decreasing contractile capacity and producing fatigue. Chronic stress elevates cortisol and constricts vessels, and by Poiseuille's law, R is proportional to 1 divided by R to the power of 4. So small radius drops cause large resistance jumps. The vasoconstriction graph shows narrowed amplitude of arterial diameter, which is fluid mechanics reality rather than mere sensation. Sleep deprivation impairs homeostatic recovery, increases baseline inflammation, and disrupts hormones that regulate blood pressure. Prolonged sitting leads to venous stasis in the lower limbs. And when velocity approaches zero, the risk of venous thrombosis rises. At venous valves, pooling vortices appear, visually striking but physiologically undesirable due to slowed clearance. When blood viscosity increases, R increases, and Q decreases if delta P is unchanged. An unchanging mathematical relationship in hemodynamics. My endogenous ATP comes from glycolysis, and when charge runs low, ion pumps and membrane elasticity weaken, so I tire before your muscles do. My average lifespan is 120 days, and your health status leaves a record in every red cell renewal cycle. Under oxidative stress, the membrane suffers. The spectrin and ankyrin scaffold weakens, and elastic deformability declines. When tissue demand exceeds perfusion, a supply-demand mismatch of oxygen occurs, and the body enters physiologic fatigue. Whole body performance indicators shift to yellow, a signal that early intervention is needed. This is a physiologic threshold, and without lifestyle change, the health trajectory continues downward. Solution 1 is to drink approximately 30 milliliters of water per kilogram body weight per day. Plasma is diluted, viscosity falls, and flow Q rises even without increasing delta P. The bloodstream becomes smoother. Microbubbles decrease, and endothelial red cell shear interactions improve. Solution 2 is to supply iron, vitamin B12, and folate with vitamin C to enhance iron absorption, building a durable hematopoietic foundation. In the bone marrow, erythropoiesis accelerates, new red cells are produced, and the oxygen load is shared with fewer old cells. Solution 3 is cardio training at least 150 minutes per week, which increases capillary density and VO2 max and reduces total systemic resistance because there are more conduits. As perfusion improves, tissue heat maps normalize and energy is distributed where it is needed. Solution 4 is diaphragmatic breathing in the 4-7-8 pattern, which raises POW2, lowers sympathetic fluctuation, and supports rhythmic gas exchange. Alveoli brighten, O2 density rises, and diffusion time shortens, so better input produces better output. Solution 5 is guideline-based medical therapy and smoking cessation, freeing hemoglobin binding sites from CO. Once hemoglobin sites reopen, oxygen binds more efficiently and SpO2 returns to physiologic range. The control panel turns green again with SpO to near 98%, viscosity normalized, and ATP increased, restoring 3 corners of the performance triangle. At muscle oxygen delivery is now rush hour without congestion. ATP production flares in step with contraction. The brain receives steady perfusion, neural signaling is precise, and alertness and focus return. Skin appears more pink due to improved superficial microcirculation, a visible sign of healthy perfusion. The heart becomes more resilient as oxygen supply and demand are balanced, producing firmer and more regular contractions. The spleen, bone marrow, and immune system are better nourished, completing a balanced circulation immune loop. To summarize the 5 golden strategies: 1. Drink enough water. To add iron and B12 and folate. 3. Perform cardio. For practice deep breathing for 7, 8, and 5. Pursue medical care and smoking cessation. Establish a 7-day plan, convert it into micro habits, and repeat long enough to create a new biologic steady state of health. I am Red Blood Cell Chan, and each time you adjust a small behavior, I will deliver O2 on time to every cell. If you find this helpful, save and share it. Because health is a living equation, and today you have found a better solution for yourself.